certainly using the term fascist is their term of art by the left to describe anyone with a conservative or opposing political view. And who now has embraced that Antifa violent rhetoric? Vice President Harris. First up is the issue of President Trump's safety. Now, it looks like, according to the polling data and what you read in the media, and I don't know how the election is going to go one way or the other, and I don't endorse or oppose candidates or candidates in as president of Judicial Watch, nor obviously does Judicial Watch. So we don't know how the election is going to go, and I'm not going to tell you how I think the election ought to go. But I do see politicians engaging in rhetoric that is detrimental to the safety of President Trump. And it looks like the left is beginning to worry about, well, they're not beginning to, they have been for several weeks. They're worrying that Trump may win, and so they feel like they're behind. So now kind of all of the restraints are off in terms of rhetoric. And when you have a man who's been nearly killed twice as a result of assassination attempts, to have this type of rhetoric really designed, in my view, and I don't think it's accidental, to incite violence, it's very disturbing. And of course, you know, one of the worst presidents of all time, one of the most corrupt of all time, Barack Obama, is pretending to be confused as to why everyone's so divided. Let's listen to what he had to say.
I don't understand how we got so toxic and just so divided and so bitter, and I get why sometimes people just don't want to pay attention to it. And we all have friends like that. We have family members who just like, you know, it's all a circus out there. I get that.
Well, the reason people perceive it to be a circus is because there are politicians like him who dishonestly are using race to divide America. He suggested, for instance, just recently, that black men should be targeted specifically because of their race and attacked because of their race for supporting supposedly Trump in too large a number. And then we have Kamala Harris herself make this statement outside her government home here in Washington, D.C.
So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired four-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him. He wants a military.
So that sort of extremist statement suggests to me that why is she just even running for office against him? Why isn't she engaging in military action against Trump if he's such a threat to the Republic? Talk about language to incite assassinations. And then listen to what Hillary said.
You know, one other thing that you'll see next week, Caitlin, is Trump actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939. I write about this in my book. President Franklin Roosevelt was appalled that neo-Nazis, fascists in America were lining up to essentially pledge their support for the kind of government that they were seeing in Germany. So I don't think we can ignore it.
So if your supporters or your opponents are Nazis, what does that mean? That's Antifa rhetoric that the Antifa types and the radical extremist left, as I say, to justify and direct violence. The violent left call all of their political opponents fascist in order to justify violence against them. Hence the phrase punch a Nazi. The left doesn't think Nazis are just the old-fashioned Nazis that we all understand historically. They mean Nazis are anyone who disagrees with them. And certainly using the term fascist is their term of art by the left to describe anyone with a conservative or opposing political view. And who now has embraced that Antifa violent rhetoric? Vice President Harris. Let's go to the tape.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I also believe that the people...
You see, this is the type of violent rhetoric used by Antifa and the left to direct violence at their opponents. This is incitement. You call someone a fascist. That's what the left calls all of their political enemies to justify violence against them. And if you want to know why Trump was nearly killed twice, this is the type of language. And this woman's and Joe Biden's Secret Service has denied and still denies Trump full protection that he's due, given the security threats. This is dangerous desperation, truly. And it's not a political comment I'm making. It's a concern about the safety of our republic, frankly.
And then you have, on top of smearing your political opponents, saying the worst thing you can say about them politically in a way that is foreseeably certain or likely to incite violence against them or be used to justify violence against them. You have her and Obama mocking Christianity, making fun of Christians. Look at what Obama was doing at this rally the other day.
My experience is the goal of the town hall meeting is you meet with your constituents, with citizens, with voters. You answer their questions. He decided, no, I'm not going to answer questions anymore. Let's just play music for half an hour. So he's standing there and he's swaying to Ave Maria and YMCA.
Swaying to Ave Maria. Does he understand what Ave Maria is? It's a religious song used by Catholics and Christians to celebrate Mary, the Mother of God, Mother of Jesus Christ. But it's not just, of course, I've talked previously here, and you've probably seen the videos of the governor of Michigan, left-winger, mocking the Holy Eucharist with some pro-abortionist activist. Sick. And then we have Kamala come out this week and say she's going to force, well, this has actually been the Biden administration's position, she's going to force Christian doctors and nurses and hospitals who are morally opposed and otherwise opposed to killing unborn babies through abortion, she's going to force them to do abortions. Listen to this.
What concessions would be on the table? Religious exemptions, for example? Is that something that you would consider?
I don't think we should be making concessions when we're talking about a fundamental freedom to make decisions about your own body.
To Republicans like, for example, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, who would back something like that.
So no concessions. So the day after she suggests that President Trump is Hitler, she says she's going to force Christians to kill unborn babies. And you wonder why our politics are toxic? And again, I'm not raising this to say, oh, you should vote for so-and-so. You should vote against so-and-so. I'm highlighting a senior government official promising to abuse office in the future to target people based on their religious beliefs and violate their rights, their First Amendment rights, in a way that we've never really seen before, but also to highlight the current policy of the Biden administration, where they're fighting in court to demand that hospitals, contrary to state laws in some cases, or religious and moral objections, should be forced to kill the unborn. So they're trying to incite violence against Trump. And I don't think it's just pre-election violence. I think they think if Trump wins, they have moral and political justification to blow up the republic with sedition and insurrection. That's my concern. And as I said in 2020, according to the New York Times, they were wargaming scenarios that if Trump won, that they were going to engage in sedition and threaten civil war, literally, in order to stop him from being president of the United States. You know, so I understand when candidates feel like they're losing or there's nothing to lose, the rhetoric gets heated. This is, you know, I understand politics ain't beanbag, right? The mocking of folks based on their religious beliefs, the mocking of Christians who disagree with you, and a willingness to attack them directly, and comparing the #1 political candidate for the presidency, or #2, depending on which poll you read, as being Hitler, after he's been nearly killed twice. Very dangerous, very dangerous. Is there anything else I'm supposed to be talking about on this craziness? But, you know, my concern is that the president's safety is at risk here. I mean, this administration has refused and refuses to provide him adequate Secret Service protection, while at the same time, Kamala Harris is saying that he's a fascist and Hitler. Look what Biden said the other day. I almost forgot about him. He's still around.
He is talking about doing away with the entire Department of Education. He's talking, he means it. This is not a joke. This is a guy who also wants to replace every civil servant, every single one. Thinks he has a right under the Supreme Court ruling on immunity to be able, if need be, if it was the case, to actually physically eliminate, shoot, kill someone who he believes to be a threat to him. I mean, so I know this sounds bizarre. It sounds like if I said this 5 years ago, you'd lock me up. We got to lock him up. Politically lock him up.
Well, that's outrageous. You know, I thought he wasn't involved in any of that. He's sending a signal again to his Justice Department. Lock him up. And he caught himself there. You can see politically lock him up. What does that mean? So they want to jail him? They've been denying him security in a way that would likely, as I noted, before the assassination attempts, Democratic leadership in Congress were pushing legislation to deny Trump Secret Service protection in the event he was put in jail by their political friends. And that obviously would get him killed. So I don't make these accusations lightly, but the proof is in the pudding. He's been nearly killed twice, and we now know repeatedly he's been denied Secret Service protection of a sufficient nature to keep him protected. So you can be sure, as always, you know, Judicial Watch will continue at least to FOIA where we can and sue where we can to expose this dangerous lawfare against him and the denial, and we have ongoing litigation already on it, the denial of security to the man. Because even if he wins, you can be sure the left is going to continue to press violence against him and think of ways to thwart adequate and significant security for him, especially given the threats he's facing. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.